one of the things that I managed to achieve more, I think, and I believe it's due to the carnivore diet that I've adopted. And the thing is effective time management. Or more effective time management. And so that sometimes that means that, I'm able to take advantage of moments of the day when they're just propitious, and the result is very helpful. So this is just like a lovely trip to come out and have my breakfast out, chat to a couple of people just, in the shops or something, and then I know how long my breakfast takes when I cook it myself, and tidying up and what have you, and the cost and all the rest of it is really quite economical in Britain if you go to Wetherspoons, as I do. And you don't try and start in third gear rather than second. It's not as effective. And it gives me a chance to drive around and show off a little bit. Why not? Oh, I've gone the wrong way. I fancy that. Why would a man go the wrong way? I'm used to the turning, perhaps. How to get back onto the right way? I suppose those are the questions that must be answered. You see, it could be a little road like this, or this is a cul-de-sac. Great. This is not what I needed, actually. What have we got over there? Something unusual. Just turn around and go back. If all else fails, I'm sure there's a better way. It's helpful driving around in traffic a little bit and making mistakes again, because I'm just getting more used to the randomness of driving around, I suppose. In Italian, I was thinking of the expression, they would say probably of me, che faccio il figone, which means that you're trying to be, to sort of build yourself up or show off or something like that. You're trying to demonstrate high value, and it's said, meaning that, that your attempt is almost certainly pathetic, as though that were, as though were a bad thing to try to display high value. Really, you could say that it would be better to try to display high value than low, I would have thought. But you'll only get criticised or mocked if you try and smarten up your act a little bit, I suppose. A lot of people learning to drive on the road today, with instructors. Oh dear me. Come on now. Stopped behind a bus, but not intending to travel anywhere. just sit there indefinitely. Now we have and because of the danger now, it's difficult to overtake, because I don't know what these people are going to do. Oh, come on, for heaven's sake. Frustrating. As a learner driver, I don't like to show signs of impatience, but I really began to think that they'd just resolved to stay forever behind the bus, because sometimes buses do stop for a very long time. You can't just sit there indefinitely, because you're holding up all the traffic. You know, again, there's too many drivers on the road, let's face it. There's too many cars on the road. And it's not a question of congestion. Again, it's like the dogs and cats question. Too many people just assume that the only way of moving from where they are currently located is to hop into a car. Now this guy is doing what? Incorrect indication. Correct use of indicator. A dangerous practice. You can't rely on people to use their indicators with any logic, really. They might do sometimes, in exceptional circumstances, I suppose. There's too many cars on the road, you see. If you're driving something that looks like a sort of a shed on wheels and has no grace or personality, you know, my advice, and I know nobody's asking for it, but my advice would be to just take the bus or walk. There's no point in driving those unsightly vehicles around the road. If you're going to drive, have at it and have fun. Get yourself something that's nice to drive, that looks good, and just enjoy it. And the rest of the time, go by public transport, or go on foot, or use your bicycle. And that way we solve the problem, you see. I mean, people just use the car automatically. Often to take children to school, and such other humdrum things, and it's just dull. You know, we need to kind of increase our level of artistic expression, I think, and originality, whatever that is. I suppose it goes back to Genesis. It takes me a long time to get over some intersections still, because I just don't trust the way that people drive around these little roundabouts. More than once, people have made moves that would have taken me by surprise if I'd tried to second guess them. So I'm kind of very wary and defensive in the way that I drive. The other thing that occurs to me, apart from other people's assessment of how one looks or how one acts, which is, you know, usually quite ruthless if you try to do anything out of the ordinary, but it doesn't matter. That's just an external reaction. It's also something, people have spoken about this and people know it, I'm sure, how you speak about yourself, shall we say. And I've certainly done this, to start speaking quite disparagingly of your own capabilities and performance. And that's very deleterious, actually. And I used to listen to a YouTuber called Better Bachelor. He was pretty good. He's still doing it. He's one of these people that's made a career out of it, and you can sign up to his club. I don't know how people manage to look themselves in the mirror once they've done that sort of thing, but what do I know? I mean, maybe I'll do it one day if I become famous. I'll say, sign up to me. Of course, I can't see it happening. It just seems to be so presumptuous, I don't know, to me. But people provide value, I suppose you could say. Join his thing. But it's dividing people again, isn't it? Members only content. I think that was the name of a pornographic magazine when I was growing up, Members Only, or was it Men Only? Members Only would be almost a double entendre, wouldn't it? Oh no, not that. Another thing. A pun, would it be? And I was listening to his channel, and every single video he starts off by saying his name, and then he says a voice for, what does he say? A face for radio and a voice for print. Thus effectively saying that he's ugly, which he is, as am I, and he's not very good at speaking, which isn't true really. I mean, he seems to be very good to me. And it's pointless. And in actual fact, over the years, this guy has got visibly out of shape, He just sits there and gasses. He's not going anywhere or saying anything new. And without the validation of his subscribers, and he has a lot, I wonder why people spend their money. Not to say that he hasn't, I'm sure he said some very useful things, but you can hear them, without paying, I don't know how much a month or contributing to the tip jar or whatever. I think if you get content above a certain level, maybe you can get revenue from YouTube anyway. I don't know quite how it works. But it is true that, that you never want to speak poorly of yourself. I know I just said that I'm ugly, but I am, and I'm happy with it, I certainly don't have a handsome face in the classic way, but I think, as long as I stand upright and look people straight in the eye, then that's fine. I don't want to be a model or anything like that, unfortunately, of course, because there's no way I could be. I don't fit the stereotypes. But sometimes not fitting the stereotypes is actually more interesting. It's a bit like music. It interests me to know that you can play within the chromatic scale, and every single note can be perfectly tuned at the perfect frequency, and that does sound pleasant and pleasurable. But some music, that you'll find that certain instruments might be almost deliberately flattened or sharpened, and it makes the music a bit more spiky and inaccessible, but it gives it an edge also if it's done, if it's controlled. It's a bit like that guy, what's his name? Johnny Cash. So to my ear, Johnny Cash always sings slightly flat. He always has done, and that's part of the fascination or the power of his vocals. And I think you couldn't argue that he's a powerful singer. Of course he is, and he delivers quite a heartfelt sort of soulful message. Now, I'm critical of all musicians and what have you, and Johnny Cash doesn't escape my scourge, of course. Poor fellow. But it is true that sometimes shifting away from the harmonious and the harmonic can be enriching. God bless.